with authority. Aloha.
Welcome to the most muscless podcast in Bay Area sports. Welcome to ABC7 Sports.
With authority. Although, I just wish for one day, if we didn't have With Authority as the podcast name already, I would channel my inner Steve Kerr and go, this is the We Are Bleepin' Giants podcast. Wouldn't it be great if we could just change the name?
If we had a Giants podcast, I would absolutely start that right now.
It does nothing to do with it. It's We Are Bleepin' Giants. Steve Kerr, not suitable for work.
Steve Kerr After Dark.
After Dark.
Hashtag Steve Kerr After Dark.
And
what do we have? What do we have coming up?
What we have is, the question is the golden era of Golden State Warriors basketball now over. 15 minutes of panic while we waited for KD to be okay, not okay, Achilles, calf, who knows. A media secret that will shock you.
Ooh.
Shock you. You people at home will have no idea about this stuff. Well, we'll talk Game of Thrones because that's a recurring thing, and you nailed a couple of things in your predictions last week. You're down to one dragon. What do you do? How about not fly into a whole bunch of arrows? Okay, just my thought. And a great Mother's Day story.
Absolutely. An amazing story about Dallas Braden's perfect game, which happened on this day, which is crazy. It's not Mother's Day, but on this day of taping, it actually happened. It's the anniversary. Whew, time to take a stressful exhale. So we know Kevin Durant will not return for the duration of the second round of the playoffs with his right calf strain. The question is, can the Warriors win without KD, and could this be a preview to what we may see next season?
Well, I texted you when it happened. We are looking at the 2020 Golden State Warriors, and it's frightening because there's a few minutes there where it was dicey, and you just didn't know. The Warriors had to go 14 minutes in Game 5 without him. They were gritty, they were gutty, they found ways. But now you've got the Rockets at home for a Game 6. I've got a thought on that. And then the most likely scenario is we're in this office, Game 7, Mother's Day, and the Warriors have to use their home crowd and whatever abracadabra magic We Are Bleepin' Giants Steve Kerr can come up with, the greatest Newt Rockney speech ever from an NBA coach to try to rally the troops and just get everybody energized. It's one thing to do it for 14 minutes. If you got to do it for a full 48 with a thin squad, that's a different story.
So let's look at some information. For once, I actually did research for this show. I usually don't. I like to wing it.
Yeah.
All right. Here's what I have learned. The Warriors are actually 24-1 in their last 25 games without KD, but with Steph Curry. That's got to give you some optimism.
Okay, all right.
That's a good stat.
All right.
24-1 in their last 25.
That's with Steph Curry with a fully functioning left hand, which he doesn't have right now. But okay, but keep going.
On March 13th, 2019, the Warriors beat the Rockets 106-104 in Houston without Kevin Durant.
Who did they have?
They did have DeMarcus Cousins, who was their second highest scorer in that game.
What do you have, 27 that game?
He did it. He played 31 minutes. McKinney played 16. Bell played 11. Jerebko
Jordan
did
Bell
not.
played? They let
He
Jordan
did
Bell in the
11
game?
minutes, and Jerebko did not play. So that may be a preview of what we have coming up, except not having Cousins is a little bit troubling.
Yeah.
On January 4th, 2018, the Warriors beat the Rockets 124-114 without KD, but James Harden didn't play.
Throw that out.
And on March 28th,
inadmissible evidence, Your Honor.
March 28th, 2017, the Warriors beat the Rockets 113-106 without KD, but CP3 didn't play. So what is the data telling us? Can the Warriors actually pull this off?
I think it's going to be extremely difficult. Depending on when you're listening to the podcast, as we tape this on a Thursday, Game 6 is in Houston on Friday. I would say, here's my strategy for Game 6. I'm not quite punting on the game if I'm Steve Kerr, but I'm close to punting on the game. Because what I don't want to do is I don't want to burn out Steph and Clay and Draymond. We're so thin as it is. I've got to preserve them for the likelihood of a Game 7 at home on Mother's Day. So what I'm going to do is, and Steve Kerr is not like this, I don't think. I mean, I've known him for a while. He's more mild-mannered unless he gets...
Except after dark.
Except after dark,
Yeah.
and except when certain refs make ridiculous calls, then he goes crazy. But given the scenario, and you could say, oh yeah, they're just going back to 2015 Warriors. They're going to play with a lot of ball movement. It's Steph and Clay. It's Splash Brothers. Draymond's
They
gonna be
won
Draymond.
before.
They've done it before.
They've done it.
Okay, but now everybody's 5 years older. Sean Livingston is pretty much done. I love Sean Livingston, but he's got nothing left in the tank. You've got a bunch of bench players. Looney's actually been really
Very
good.
good.
At
He was
times.
actually
He was great. He saved them. He
low-key
saved them in
hero of
game five. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Bogut is back from Australia, energized, but you just don't have enough bodies. So here's what I'm doing if I'm Steve Kerr. I'm sitting down. I'm telling Jordan Bell, Quinn Cook, Jonas Jerebko, Alfonso McKinney. I'm sitting them all down, and I'm saying, look, guys, you got a free swing in Game 6. You guys have done almost nothing the past 6 months.
Really tear them down.
Nothing. This is your one I'm building them up. I'm going to tear them down to build them up. This is your one chance at redemption, okay? In Game 6 in Houston, I'm going to play our stars limited minutes. Run, jump, contest, do to your heart's content. I will not yell at you. I will not yank you after 7 seconds, Jordan Bell, after you make 2 mistakes that are unforgivable. Just go. You have, it's a free swing. You just go, and whoever does best in that game is going to have a chance to be a hero on Game 7 when we beat the Rockets on our home floor on Mother's Day. One of you dudes, 2 of you dudes, show up. Big. Jordan Bell, you have athleticism. Go. Use it. Engage. This is your one moment of glory. It's right there in front of you. Take it. How's that?
This is the speech he gives me before every show.
Yeah.
And it always works.
You're
I'm
more
always ready to run right through the wall.
More profane usually than
Yes.
that. But you guys, you've got to get. You can't just leave it to Steph and Clay and Draymond. They can't play 48 minutes. Part of the reason you're in this situation in the first place, I believe, not a doctor, but you burned out your stars. So you've got Splash Brothers on bad ankles. And Steph has a busted hand that's worse probably than we know of. Clay's ankle is worse than we know of. You've got Andre Iguodala with a tweaked knee, and there's a history of that. This is because you screwed around against the Clippers with 2 extra games. You should have swept them. You had a chance to beat the Rockets in Game 3. You should have taken them out. And now you have and Durant is playing like 45 minutes a game. So it's crazy numbers. Everybody is pushed to the limit and sometimes beyond, and that's why we have this. That's why I'm wearing this. If you're watching on YouTube, that was the mic.
That's a 35 on the back.
I'm wearing a Durant jersey today
Tribute.
in honor of KD. This is going to help him get well, I hope.
I think so. And so if we look at it from the most optimistic perspective, Kevin Durant is out at least a week.
Right.
6 and 7, he's out, no doubt. If they get past the Rockets and they're taking on, let's say, Denver without KD, he may only miss 1 or 2 games of that series. I still think they can get past the Blazers or the Nuggets without KD. And then
For 7 games or for just 2
maybe
games?
for 7. I think so. I do. And then if you get to the finals, you're looking at a situation where not only do you have Durant back, but you probably have Cousins back.
Damian Jones.
You probably have Damian Jones back. So if they can just get over that initial hump, I think we're still not in full-blown panic mode. But we saw it flash before our eyes. We definitely saw it flash before our eyes.
Let me give you 15 minutes of panic as this is in real time as it's going down during Game 5, okay? It's 9:10 p.m. I'm outside Oracle Arena. The Warriors, they were up 20 in the first half. At halftime, they were leading by 14. I've got to do a live hit on our newscast, so I have to physically leave the arena to do that. I can't broadcast live while the game is going on. So I'm watching on my phone as I'm doing the sportscast, and I see the lead dwindling, and then it's down to like it's a 1-point game. And I'm starting to get texts. You start texting me. Friends start texting me. My wife is and everybody is texting me just, oh no, this is terrible. I can't believe what just happened. But nobody, and I'm just thinking, They blew another 20-point lead. Here we go. It's the whole season in a nutshell. They blew another 20-point lead. But nobody is saying Durant is hurt. He's out. And so I'm just looking at this. I'm like, what has happened? What has happened? And so then I finally walk back up, and I hear Tim Roy's radio broadcast, which is beaming out of Oracle Arena. And I hear him say, and we're still waiting word on the severity of the injury to Kevin Durant. And I just went, oh, no. It's over.
Yeah, and not to mention, they had played very well in the first half. They had given up the lead in the third quarter. Then, right after that, Kevin Durant got hurt.
Right.
So it was like, it was doom and gloom.
Okay, so
yeah,
let me tell you what's going on amongst the media.
Yeah, I'd like to hear this story.
Is the 15
let's give
minutes
people
of panic.
Let's give people a preview behind the scenes.
So one of the things that people think is, like, when we go to the games, like, we're sitting in luxury suites and we have everything at our disposal. It's typically not the case. And so you'll have a seat, and at Oracle Arena, it's like section 121 or 124. You're up there. Everybody's squeezed together like you're sardines. Which, okay, not asking for sympathy or anything like that. You're in their arena, and I like to watch the first quarter or the first half just to feel the sense of the crowd. The downside of that seat and that situation is sometimes you don't have monitors close to you where you can see replays of the action, and you have no audio. You might try to listen to the radio broadcast, but there's so much interference, sometimes you can't really hear very well. So you're in the arena, but you're in the dark. So what I like to do is, after I get a feel for the crowd and the game and all that, is I go down into the bowels of Oracle Arena, and that's where the media room is set up.
That's the spot.
Okay, so you're in the building, but you're watching the game on TV.
That's a fun fact that most people don't know. Any major sporting event you cover, there's always an overflow area in a media dining lounge or a setup lounge. So most of the people at major events like the World Series or the Finals or the Super Bowl are actually just watching it on TV in the building, which is hilarious. So go ahead.
So I'm in the media room, okay, and there's only a handful of us there. It's me, it's Stephen A. Smith, it's Michael Wilbon, it's Brian Windhorst, all from ESPN. Now, I know Windy and I know Wilbon from my years past there. Stephen A. and I, we know each other, but we don't really talk much. But he's fine. And Rick Bucher, who 20 years ago was one of the great Warrior beat reporters and is now Bleacher Report, has his own podcast and radio shows and all this. And so we're all down there, and it's the longest 15 minutes ever, because we're waiting and waiting and waiting to hear, what is the deal with Kevin Durant? And everybody's going, Achilles, he's done. Achilles, he's done. Oh my! And you're texting me, and our coach Kerry Keating from the after the game, post game shows is going like, well, this is the worst news ever for the New York Knicks.
Yeah,
because we're all thinking Katie's going to New York.
That was the leap everyone took.
Yeah, and so we're all like, everybody's just freaking out with, what does this mean? And it's he and Kyrie are not going to get together in New York, and the whole balance of power in the league is just going back and forth with every note of speculation in this room, and we're arguing. And so I think Bucher was saying, finally we get word, strained calf? Nobody believes it. Even as I walked in this building today to record this podcast, 2 people, it's like, there's no way it's his Achilles, isn't it? Nobody believes that it's a strained calf. Everybody thinks he tore his Achilles.
Doctors looked at it.
Real
doctors, said it was a strained
not
calf.
not TV doctors like us. Real doctors.
And the MRI says it's a strained calf.
But anyway, so while we're going back and forth, even after we get the word, Bucher is yelling, there's no way that's a strained calf. Tomorrow they're going to say Achilles. I'm like, Rick, they can't come out and say strained calf and they go, no, we made a mistake. I mean, if you're a doctor, you would never do that. I mean, you'd look like a clown. You'd never work for any team again. And so we're all thinking, and everybody's speculating that, they don't want to deflate the team. So they're just going to say minor injury, then upon further review, MRI. And then, all right, so we're settling in strained calf. And then Stephen A. is like doing a running commentary of the game. I wish that we could have had just a broadcast of him and Wilbon and Windhorst doing the game. Kevin Harlan's great. I love Kevin. But, like, Stephen A. was so entertaining. He's going, okay, Steph, time to be Steph. Let's go. Let's see what you got. And with every, like, the Warriors would turn it over, and they're like, James, are you ever going to shoot? You ever going to shoot, James? Because Harden hardly shot in the end of the game. And so it was hilarious. amidst the misery of really not knowing what was going on. But that's where we all were, and we're all going back and forth debating,
just living in the moment,
whether their injury is real. And at the end, and then Clay throws a pass to nobody in particular, and we're all going, "What is he doing?" And everybody, freaking out. We're all freaking out in the bowels of Oracle Arena, watching the game on a television. While if we had gone like 100 yards from where we were, we would have seen it, but not really heard what we needed to hear. So that's the dirty little media secret. It's not really dirty. It's just a secret that a lot of guys are watching the game on TV because you don't have access to the audio or the replays if you're just sitting in the stands.
Imagine if you had a few beers in there, in the media lounge for that running commentary.
Beer. They don't serve beer.
They don't, but could you imagine how much fun it would be to have beer and have to... That running commentary would be far more...
It would be hilarious.
It was probably already crazy, but I think it'd be far more crazy.
Imagine if you're Joe Lacob courtside and you've had maybe a drink or two to settle your nerves down. And
he's sitting there on his phone. You can see him sideline. He's just like, "Oh, okay, what's going on? What's happening?
Wait, somebody tell me something."
What's happening. Yeah.
The whole. So, when we started these podcasts, you came up with the Dubs Dynasty Doomsday Clock.
Good job. And I didn't think it was something we'd have to talk about every week, but we do.
I'm setting the clock. The clock just struck 12 for me.
Ooh.
It just bing.
So it's Doomsday.
It is Doomsday right now. Jordan Bell.
Before we move on, then I'll set it at like 11:59. I'm a notch before Doomsday because I still think there's a shot. Like I said, 24-1 in the last 25 games without Durant and Curry in. They got a shot.
Game 6 there's no way Game 6. It's all on Game 7.
Yeah.
Mother's Day. Do it for Mama.
On ABC 7.
For Mama Durant and Mama Green.
Yeah.
And everybody's mama.
Sonia Curry.
And, by the way, that could be the last game at Oracle for the Warriors.
Yeah. When Kevin Durant got hurt, it seemed like Game 5 could be the last game.
And people were killing me on Twitter because
it's
on
possible.
TV I was saying this might be it, and they're all like, "No, why are you such a doomsday person, Larry?" And here I am doing that on this podcast.
It's all right. Yeah. Speaking of dynasties that could end soon, I think that if we were to place a sports analogy on Game of Thrones right now, I think Cersei Lannister not only is coming off a bye week fully refreshed, she also has home field advantage. I don't know how they possibly take out Cersei. Now let's look at this. What would you possibly equate the one dragon they have left to in a sporting performance?
Kevin Durant.
Kevin Durant?
For 50? Yes. Kevin Durant is the dragon.
You think he's the dragon that could take out the forces? My pick was Madison Bumgarner circa 2014. The starting pitcher.
Against the Royals?
Yeah, they could just mow down an entire lineup.
Can I just use this?
Yeah.
Because Madison Bumgarner was throwing smoke like a dragon.
I think so.
Then.
I think that might be the most apt analogy for what a dragon would be to a sports situation. But yeah, I don't know how they possibly get past Cersei. I'm sure it'll happen, and I want to ask you, who is going to get the elimination of Cersei on this show?
Well, I think it's going to be Jaime.
It has to be, right?
It has to be Jaime Lannister. But you got to get your props because you called it last week on what was going to happen.
Well, I accurately, if you watch, we remember we were talking about who was going to go down major main character-wise. My pick was Jorah Mormont.
Right.
That absolutely happened. So I think I got to get my props there. And your pick was actually the Hound. And my counter to that was that he can't go down because he needs to face off mano a mano with the Mountain.
The Mountain is...
and I think we're getting that showdown.
Yeah, I think you're right on that. I jumped the gun on that. I didn't think it through. But I saw an Instagram post from the Mountain, whose real name is Thor Bjornsson, and he's 6'9", 375. He's a power lifter. And it was him at a Christmas party with Miss Sandy, whom he just decapitated.
Your favorite character.
Miss Sandy is my favorite character, and I think we should just leave. No further explanation is required.
Everyone loves her.
And so he posted, while they were together in front of this Christmas tree, sorry, Cersei made me do it. And he decapitated her. So it was a funny Instagram post.
And it takes you back to reality a little bit.
Yeah.
Out of the world of Westeros.
Can I just say one thing about this? Because I thought I was late to the party. You dragged me to the party. My family members
dragged
me to the
him
party.
kicking and screaming, but he loves it now.
I wasn't watching Game of Thrones for years, and then I had a back injury, and I was like physically late. I was like literally on ice for like a week, and I thought, well, okay, this is the universe telling me it's time to start watching. I can't do anything else. But the author is George R.R. Martin, and he did not write this season. He stopped writing.
Yeah, even the previous season was not him either.
Oh, I didn't even realize that. So this season, the finale season, is being authored by the producers, the two producers. Mm-hmm. And I just, if I have a dragon, if I have two dragons, and I see an armada coming at me, I'm not going to fly directly into the armada and get one of my dragons shot out of the sky.
No, you gotta go evasive. You gotta go straight up or straight down. And then you gotta fly around back.
Fire. I mean, just circle around. It's not easy to get a big arrow projectile device spun around, and you certainly can't shoot. It's just like some of the plot lines I'm just frustrated with. I want it to be great, and it's just dumb at times. I mean, never mind leaving a Starbucks cup in the middle of a scene.
Things happen.
But stuff, I mean, but think about, okay, we both work, we've done video production between the two of us. I have 5-6 decades of this, okay? How many eyes had to see that scene before it made it to television? I mean, all the people on the crew, the actors, the cinematographers, the setup, all the editors, and then there's going to be a final review where they look at it and nobody sees a Starbucks cup in a shot. Are you kidding me?
You know what's crazy?
It almost like they planted it that way.
I was watching the game revealed, how they do behind the scenes, how they make the whole scene, and the D&D, the 2Ds, the guys that make the show, they put themselves in that scene as wildlings.
Oh, I didn't see that.
And so the scene where they're chugging the wine and right before you see the cup, they're in that scene as wildlings. And it's funny because the commentary right after the fact, they come off the set, they're dressed as wildlings still, and they go, wow, hopefully we didn't mess that all up. And that's when the cup was in there.
So you think because these guys were distracted by their own moment of fame.
I think that they put themselves in the scene.
And nobody was paying attention.
And the cup was there. Isn't that crazy?
That I didn't realize that.
I put two and two together on that, but if you go back and watch, I'm pretty sure that happened. All right, one quick theory before we move on. We got to keep going. I think that what they do is Dany takes Drogon, a huge black dragon. You have to fly it at night.
Hello?
You come straight down. You take out all the scorpions around the castle walls, the big bow and arrow things they're shooting the dragons down with. At night, you can't hit what you can't see. You dive bomb, fire, up and out, over and over and over again. That's how you win.
See, I mean, that logically makes sense, but just like the previous week, when it would have been easy to dig a trench and have all the White Walkers run right into it, then one strafing run with a dragon. Well, the show's over in 7 minutes.
Yeah.
It's a 7-minute show. There's no show. So I think that's a little bit too simple. It has to be something more exotic in order to get an hour and a half out of it. I mean, from a military strategy standpoint, there's a lot of things you could do that would go quick if I have a dragon and you don't. So I don't know. I'm hoping to be surprised, but some of the writing and some of the storylines, again, let's send our best warriors off into the darkness on horseback.
Just straight into
complete darkness and not know who our opponent is or where they are. It's just like there's a lot of dumb stuff in this season.
So we're in agreement. I think Jaime Lannister is going to come back. He has to have something to do with Cersei's demise.
Yeah.
He's not coming back to re-side with her. Rapid fire predictions. Arya is going to have something to do with Cersei's demise. She's at the top of the list. I think her and the Hound are going in essentially a la suicide mission. They're just going to wreck stuff. They don't plan on coming back. And I think Dany might get a little overzealous, charge in too early, and Jon Snow is going to show up with the troops, and he'll be painted as the hero, even though they're mostly the North forces and not all. There's still some Dothraki and Unsullied left with him, but you see how they're painting him as the great hero that's beloved, and her kind of sitting off to the side with her Starbucks cup miserable. I think that she sees that he's the one that everyone wants to rally around, and that could lead to more problems even after Cersei's gone. Those are my rapid-fire predictions.
Yeah. Are we still going to do the question about who we think ultimately ends up on the throne?
Let's do it next week.
Next week?
Let's do it
There's got to be a big heel turn somewhere.
There's got to be a spy.
There
has to be a spy. There's got to be some inside info. There's got to be a heel turn. Great use of a wrestling term.
Yeah, because otherwise, if it's just, okay, Jon Snow is the guy everybody emotionally roots for, and then he ends up on the throne, he's got to, I mean, he already died once and they brought him back.
Yeah.
There has to be some twist that's coming. Otherwise, it would be just too easy.
And that might have something to do with Varys. We'll see.
Okay.
All right. Time to tell a story. And this story is one that is near and dear to my heart. I had a grandma that passed away of cancer. But we were at, let's take this all the way back, Mother's Day, May 9th, 2010.
Wow.
One day, I was driving home from work, and I just texted my good friend, Christy Mendez, who used to do PR for the A's, and I was like, hey, let me get your tickets for Sunday. And she usually always had 4 tickets. She rarely used them because she was always working. So she gave them to me, left them at will call. The morning of that day, I got up. My wife and I were like, all right, let's go to the game. Just kind of spur of the moment, just whatever. The weather wasn't good. It was raining, like drizzling. It just looked overcast. It didn't look like a great day to go to a game. We almost said, yeah, you know what, we got a lot to do. Maybe we shouldn't go. We ended up getting in the car. Again, little raindrops on the windshield. We pull up to the Coliseum. There's like this huge cloud layer all the way around the stadium, but where the field of play was, directly over it, no clouds. It was like a halo. It was crazy. So the game starts, and it was legitimately the 3rd inning, which is really early. You always ask like when you notice something's happening in a no-hitter or perfect game.
You didn't notice
5,
the 3rd
6,
inning.
7th, you really heighten.
6th or 7th.
3rd inning, I started noticing like, hey, this is kind of cool. And I was like following every pitch closely, right? So I grew up a big A's fan, as you know.
Mild understatement.
And so I consider myself a pretty good fan, especially at a game, especially when you've had a few beers. And I was like really into it. And I was tracking every pitch, and I was following it very closely. And like 3 seats down from me, same row, there's this lady, and she is going berserk. Like everything.
And it's your mom.
It's not my mom.
No, not Sherry Pratt.
And so I'm sitting there like, man, I thought I was like a pretty good fan. I feel like I'm a terrible fan because this lady, man, is she into it. Like this lady is pumped. And I thought it was the coolest thing ever. And she was like literally sitting 2-3 seats down from me, same row and everything. So the perfect game of Dallas Braden is what I'm talking about. He gets the final out, right? This lady jumps up out of her chair and goes running down to the field.
So you didn't know who it was at that point.
And I'm like, whoa, like where's she going? Next thing I know, over the dugout, coming down to the field. And we're like, whoa, what is happening? And then she jumps up into Dallas Braden's arms with that huge embrace. It was his grandma. I sat right next to her the whole game, and it was one of the coolest things I have ever seen. That moment was so emotional. Now, Braden's mom, Jodie Atwood, died of cancer when he was a teenager. That was a game on Mother's Day. It was a perfect game, which was just incredible. You really don't see many of those. And I happened to sit right next to his grandma, which was so freaking cool. And that was one of the greatest things I've ever seen in person. And that game happened on this day in 2010.
That's wild.
Isn't
Do you
that
remember
wild?
any of the specific things that she was saying, or was she just like,
she was just like, yeah, just fired up. Like she was cheering, like super, super pumped up. And yeah, this is a bat from the Mother's Day breast cancer awareness game, which I also got. Pretty cool. So that was one of the most amazing things I'd ever seen. And I think that, you know, with Mother's Day coming up, being right around the corner, and this being the anniversary, I wanted to tell that story because I don't think I've ever seen anything that awesome, and probably never will again.
Well, and that's one of those moments that's baseball immortality for Dallas Braden. And if you're an A's fan or you're just a baseball fan in general, you remember that scene and you remember that hug.
Yeah.
And you think about Dallas Braden's career, because that was his one shining moment. That, and I think
Get off my mound.
Get off my mound, A-Rod, where he basically was getting into it with Alex Rodriguez for him jogging across the infield, disrespecting Dallas Braden. And now he's on TV a lot.
He's fantastic.
With the A's. He brings a lot of energy and enthusiasm and the player's perspective, pitcher's perspective on the game. But like, that will never, ever be taken away. You can never take that away. Nope. That's his legacy, his moment in baseball history, and extended Bay Area guy, Stockton guy.
Yeah, absolutely. So that was really special, and props to him. And it was funny. I ran into him a couple years ago, and I was just like, dude, I have to tell you this story. And I told him the whole story, and he was just like, smiling ear to ear the whole time. He thought it was so cool, just to see kind of the perspective of what his grandma was up to the whole game.
Sure.
Just freaking out. It was awesome.
So can I ask you one thing about that?
Yeah.
Did you call your own mom on Mother's Day? I mean, all you said was you and your wife went to the game. You didn't mention anything about your mother, who is not at the game, clearly. The lovely Sherry Pratt, who taught
my mom is awesome.
My daughter, Kiana, in first and third grades, and that's how we actually know each other from the start, long before television. But did you even mention?
So you're going to get me to admit this dirty little secret here?
Even,
no, we went out to dinner after the game.
Oh, okay.
We did. We had dinner plans, but I figured I could sneak in a day game. Here's the worst part, though. It was so spur of the moment. Like, it was nighttime. Like, we just finished probably an A's night game, I'm guessing. I'd have to go back and look at the schedule. I texted my friend, like, at night driving home from work. Like, spur of the moment, we went. And then after the game, when we were at dinner, I was like, I could have gotten 4 tickets instead of 2. I don't know why I didn't invite you guys to history. I didn't even think to invite them.
Did not think about his own mother.
I could have invited him so easily, and I didn't even think about it. I'm telling you, going to the game was such a spur-of-the-moment thing, and it was such a random occurrence. Like, we almost didn't even go. And I'm so happy I did, because it was special. And you look at the no-hitter the other day from Mike Fiers, the lights were malfunctioning. The game started super late. A lot of people left and didn't see it.
Right.
And it's just crazy how, like, on any given day, any turn of events in sports can lead to something you'll never forget for the rest of your lives. Pretty awesome.
Try to call your mom this Mother's Day, will you? Since clearly
maybe
it's
I'll
not
take her to an A's game.
Not top of mind.
In my hand, I now hold Leonard's secret question. He is again not here today.
Leonard is our super producer.
He'll be back in a minute, but here's his question. If you're watching on YouTube, you can see the
sealed in an envelope. We have not seen this question.
I'm opening it right now.
A lot of drama. And
he asks us a secret question every show. He doesn't tell us what it's going to be.
What is Kevin Durant's real injury? No.
What was the first sporting event you ever went to? Describe that day. Wow. I'm holding it up to the camera for YouTube purposes. What was the first sporting event you ever went to? Describe that day. I can't describe the day.
Why is that?
The first sporting event I went to was actually a game at the Oakland Coliseum. I was 1 year old.
Oh, so you don't remember?
I don't remember any of it, but my mom kept the ticket stubs. So the first game I ever went to was an A's game in Oakland. No recollection.
I kind of have a similar thing because I was a real little kid, but I was in New York before my family ended up moving to Hawaii. And there's 2. I don't remember which one was first chronologically. We went to a Mets game, and I do remember going to a Giants game. And all I remember from that game, it was a late, like November, December game, and it was so cold. And all I could think about is, oh, it's great we got these seats. I can't wait till this game is over. So that's now once I got to Hawaii, then I ended up seeing a lot more games and stuff. But that's like we're talking about first, then that would be like the first one.
Good thing it didn't turn you off of sports. Imagine.
No, I played so many sports and wanted to be Tony Dorsett or Magic Johnson, but those roles were taken by far more skilled people, namely Tony Dorsett and Magic Johnson.
All right, news of the day.
All right.
You got something cool
This
for
is
us.
interesting. It's also kind of a sporty thing here. I have done some biking. How about you? Have you done any serious biking?
This weekend, we actually went and bought new bikes for both my 6-year-old daughter for her birthday and our little one.
Nice.
Got her a little tiny bike too.
Okay.
But other than that, no, not serious biking.
Not like Eric Burns, the
No.
former A's outfielder who's biking everywhere and doing triathlons and all that stuff. We got to have him on this show.
We will. We can.
Yeah.
We'll get to him.
And he would do this because they've announced that there's going to be a bike trail that goes from Washington to Washington. And we're talking D.C. to Washington State, which is crazy. It's 3,700 miles across 12 different states.
This is incredible. How can you possibly build a bike trail from sea to shining sea, essentially?
Well, there's 1,900 miles of existing trails that would be incorporated into this. And so the states that would be included: Maryland, Pennsylvania, West Virginia, Ohio, Indiana, Illinois, Iowa, Nebraska, Wyoming, Montana, Idaho, and Washington. So they've been working on this behind the scenes and trying to get groups together and coalitions to like hold hands and say, all right, we'll connect up with your trail, you connect up with their trail, and kind of put the whole thing together.
And the key is, in looking at the article, they already have essentially the trail because there's a lot of train tracks and railways that aren't in use like they used to be in the industrial age. So what they're doing is they're taking a lot of these train tracks and they're making it a bike path. It's called the Great American Rail Trail, which is pretty cool. Like if you in Danville and East Bay, like the Iron Horse Trail was a former train track. Now it's a great jogging and biking trail. So I guess there's a template for it.
Now just think about the potential of, if you're really into cycling, that sort of thing, you're going to go across America and see the entirety. Well, not the entirety. You're going to see these 12 states, but what a journey that would be.
That'd be crazy.
Yeah, I mean, and you could obviously stop off along the way. You're not going to ride the whole way through 24 hours a day or whatever, but you're going to be able to see all these great states and all these great vistas along the way. The downside is it's going to take a long time to actually complete sea to shining sea.
Yeah,
they
so
don't
I
even
mean,
know how many.
You could probably ride from here to New York faster than it'll take them to actually complete this trail. Like if we left right now on a path to New York on our little bikes.
Well, on tricycles.
I bet you we'd make it.
Tricycles.
I bet you we'd make it before they actually pull off this trail. But it's cool that they're trying to do it, and I hope it does get made. And as soon as it's done, like the second the pavement or whatever they're using is set, I bet you anything Eric Burns will be on that trail with a video camera following him.
He should be the guy that carries the torch, if they have a torch for that, or whatever the.
We'll make sure they have a torch.
Symbolic, or a baseball bat. They carry the bat.
Yeah.
Carry the bat.
The pink bat, which you see if you're on YouTube, but can only hear about if you're on the podcast. All right. I think that's time to wrap.
Oh, if you're watching on YouTube, or, well, even if you're not watching, if you're listening, I'm wearing this Kevin Durant jersey. And hopefully, we'll see the actual Durant on a basketball court again this season. The Warriors are going to have to come up with some magic for that to happen. And
because if Kevin Durant doesn't come through here, you're going to need this guy, Steph Curry.
You need 30.
I'm holding a Steph Curry jersey.
You need 30 regardless.
30.
To see if the Warriors can
24-1 without KD.
Can make it.
Last 25 games.
5 straight years in the finals and three-peat. We said at the start of the season, the one thing that could derail this was injuries.
Yeah.
And here we are with KD and Boogie both out, Steph and Clay injured to a certain extent.
Yep.
And now you've got to try to limp on through game by game, day by day. When we record our next podcast, which will be probably Wednesday or Thursday, do you think the Warriors season will still be alive? Now, we went back and forth on this right after KD got hurt.
Before we sign off, let's give a percentage. You go first.
25%.
Whoa. Okay, my percentage is 60.
You think
I'm
there's
just
a 60%
above 50%.
chance.
I think there's a 60% chance the Warriors are going to not only go to the NBA Finals, but win it all.
What?
Yeah.
Oh, so you're doubling down,
I'm going
tripling down?
60% that they win it all right now.
Right. Well,
as it's as bad as it can be.
what about just beating the Rockets? How about let's just focus on the here and now?
60%.
Oh,
I think if
also
they beat the
60%.
Rockets, it's over. It's a wrap. Get
Just
past
like
Houston.
your Sharks prediction?
This is the
How
NBA
about
Finals.
Team Teal?
And my Sharks prediction, 100%
Team of
accurate.
de-
The
well,
team
so
of
far.
destiny. I've been right thus far.
2 Game 7 victories. That's pretty clutch.
But
Joe
they have a
Pavelski.
fresh captain now who returned just in time. The Sharks.
That's an amazing story.
Team of destiny.
We got to talk more Sharks. You're almost wearing a teal
I'm
color.
wearing
That's
teal in
kinda
honor of the
teal.
Sharks. All right. Don't forget to subscribe. It's important to us. iTunes, Google Play, SoundCloud. We're also on YouTube, where you can watch the show in crystal clear HD. And if you need any information about the podcast or any links, abc7news.com/withauthority. We have our own URL, Larry.
I don't know what that means.
I don't either. It's a link.
It's the same link every week? Like it's...
Yeah, if you go to abc7news.com/withauthority, all of our shows are posted right there, and there are links to where you subscribe on your individual
So
devices.
that was a technical way of saying a landing page.
A landing page. Yes.
Like King's Landing.
That's how, yes, like King's Landing.
Landing page.
I hope our landing page has more luck than King's Landing coming up this weekend. And if you go there on iTunes and you subscribe, whether you listen or not, just hit that little 5-star button, because it'll make our bosses happy. And they'll let us keep doing this.
If you like Casey's story about Mother's Day,
Yes.
or you know his mom,
Yes.
or you know anybody with the A's, or Dallas Braden, or Kevin Durant, or you like them,
Do it for your mama.
do it for your mom.
Do it for
and
my
happy
mom.
Mother's Day to everybody out there. All right. We done?
We're done.
Aloha.